What's up, guys? No, I'm just kidding. I always want to do a Peter McKinney intro. It's fun and exciting. I need to come up with something like that. Anyway. Today's is pretty much talking about CG and VFX, how to make it look like it's more part of the scene. It's not really a tutorial, just some tips I've noticed. Definitely if you watch the Sci-Fi channel, you're going to notice, like, the effects actually aren't too bad if you watch it. You're like, okay, they're better 3D animated than I am. But the one thing they always do, they seem to do, is make it look like it's a sticker on top. They never blend it in properly, so when they color correct and grade, all they're going to do is enhance those colors. So if it's not matched before post, it really looks fake after post. So pretty much, at 2 o'clock today, yeah, my Tuesday tips are taped on Tuesday. Like 100%. I don't pre-head these at all. It's just a disaster. But at 2 o'clock today, I'll be releasing my, it's like about 45 seconds, just a short thing. It's called Parkour Baby. And pretty much I throw a baby off the roof. So I just wanted to show you a little bit behind on, it was a disaster finding footage. It was horrible. I could not find anything that was decently steady cam, decently anything. It was just a disaster. Frame rate was different, extending it out. But the one thing I could do is make sure it actually looked like it was part of the scene, and I'm going to walk you through that process right now. So before you guys say, hey, you're a dickhead, let's get right into it. Alright guys, what's up? Welcome to another Tuesday Tips. I know it's totally weird setup than my usual setup, but what I want to do is, I was working on this new movie, and I think it's going to help a lot of you out if you're into the VFX or CG side of things, and you really want to push, like if you take something and you really want to make it look real in your film. So, step one I'm going to say is, when rotoscoping, or doing anything with working on your effects, but we're going to use rotoscoping. Okay, sweet, it actually zoomed in. Make sure you get a perfect rotoscope around what you needed. Do not touch these levels right here. These are your rotoscope settings. Don't touch any of that. This roto will probably look a little bit rough, but do not affect any of these tools to fix this until this is frozen. I see people do this all the time and then it gets sloppy. I've done it a couple times too, I'm not going to lie, because it does make it easier, but it does not come out looking good. First of all, yes, you see a tank here. It's different than my normal setup. Look, there it is. Beautiful as ever. I just took him. He's actually like 10 years old. But, yeah, I just took him from my mom's house and brought him to my place. Quick tip before we get on to step number 2. There's going to be some scenes you're trying to rotoscope, and this is for people trying to cut images out of other videos, place them into theirs, make it seem like it was part of the original video. So right here, I'm going to flip the camera. You're going to see that hand right there is motion blur. Meaning when I throw that in my new video, what you're going to see is this floor that's blurring in with his hand. In the original video, right off the bat, it's going to make it look fake and cheesy. So what I want you to do is scroll out somatically, go over here, pop on your motion blur. Now you can open the motion blur setting. Well, can we zoom out and get a decent shot of this? There she is. Kind of. Turn on your motion blur. Now there is settings right there that you can adjust them. But if you're new to this, just click on the motion blur for now. And you're going to notice it'll start to blur this scene. It didn't really do it, so I might have to adjust the settings or whatever. But what that pretty much is going to do is, on those blurry moments, it's going to fade them out. So it looks natural, but it'll take your background image that you're placing it on, and then you'll be able to see a little more translucent through it. Now, you may not be able to get it all out, but you'll definitely take some of that backflow out, and then the next step is actually what's going to help you really make it seem like it's part of that original scene as much as you can, depending on the lighting and everything. It's kind of, now that you've rotoscoped it and you don't have, you froze it, and now you can adjust the tools. So I'll kind of show you what I did to get that baby there. Now, of course, it needs shadows and things. We're going to work on that later. But for the most part, it looks pretty clean. It doesn't look damaged. Okay, this thing is trying to find a face. Okay, we better go back. Whatever, baby's there. So now what I did was I came over here, and now I can play around with this a little bit. I did not touch the feather because that expands it out a little bit too, and I just hate it. The contrast starts at 80, so I actually pulled the contrast down to about 70, and that just softens up the edges a little bit. Makes it tasteful. shift edge. Now your rotoscope is usually a little bit on the outside and you see the shadows and it's annoying, so I like to pull that back a little bit. But before you pull that shift edge back, because that's going to cut some of the image off, turn on your decontaminate edge color, and that will take, actually I can show you this right now. If you hop over here, I'm going to do this. See what happened there? See that darkness right there that does not look good? Now it's gone. And then the reduce chatter, I'm going to watch the video first, but if you see the head bouncing around and it's looking weird and you're kind of laughing, turn up the reduce chatter, but be careful because that too will either expand it or cut off more of your image. So for now, all I pretty much did was, because the color wasn't that off, was I wanted to take some of the contrast out because I shoot on a flat profile. So being said, when I push the color grading and correcting, I'll have more to use, so I actually lowered the contrast a tad bit in this. Oh, let me zoom in, or you're not going to be able to see. And I just bumped that brightness up a little bit because I noticed it was shooting inside. So just give them a little bit, and I'll throw an overlay, color correction, and grade and see if I like it. If not, I'll go back, maybe add a tritone to see if I can blend it in with like the redness of this. If you see my face, it's a little bit red. But until I do the final color correction, I'm going to leave it that way for now. Alright guys, so this is the baby. I just copied him, put on a 3D thing so I could turn it this way, turned him shadow. Actually, I'll open that for you. Where is it? So that's pretty much what the shadow consists of. Let me zoom in. We got CC toner to turn it black. That was the quickest way to do it. I just turned up the feather a little bit. I'll probably start to play around with that a little bit. And just put on the cube and then change the rotation on it. So it could be diagonal, put it next to him. So now to show you what a color correction on it will do. Now that it kind of looks like this, this is what it looks like once you color correct it a little bit and color grade it. So before, after. Alright guys, so pretty much the things that were garbage that I couldn't fix no matter how much I tried is trying to find a camera that was semi-steady. They all seem to be handheld for mothers and stuff on lower res cameras, which the lower res wasn't bothering me. I wish someone at least tripoded it, but I guess if you're taping your baby, you're not going to be like, hey, let's get the camera equipment and go hard on this. But so after slowing it down and trying to track motion of baby, because remember the in scene was track motion, so to track motion to it was almost nearly impossible. So I just did it by hand, putting track points. And the shadow, I don't know if I went over that in the video, but definitely always mimic your, like literally duplicate your file. Turn on the 3D mode, turn it diagonal, and always throw a shadow on. If there's a sun that's beating hard, always throw a shadow. A shadow always says, hey, this object is in this scene. And if you're shooting on a higher res camera, I'd recommend on all your effects kind of bumping down the contrast. Definitely if you're going to add a lot of contrast after post like I do, you know, definitely worth keeping in mind. And brightness, tones if you need anything. Like if it's a really fall season, you got a lot of orange, and then you put something that's really bright and summer feeling or winter feeling where it's just white light, always tone it down a little bit. Try blending it in with the background. So it really does, before you put that color correction and grade, it should 100% look like you taped it off that. And another video, leave down in the comments any tips you guys want, any video ideas, doesn't matter to me, but tips could be anything, from motivational to anything about After Effects. If you watch one of my films and you're like, huh, how did he do that? Or I know I'm going to do one eventually, but if you guys are more interested, I'll speed it up. But pretty much taping alone, how do you get always camera shake and things like that? How do you transition, overlay? How do you make it look good and make it look like you have a camera guy? Because at the end of the day, it always is going to look better with a camera guy. But I have a lot of tips for that. Obviously, a lot of YouTubers start out with the one thing, and we're taking this into a different direction. So before I waste any more of your time, thanks for watching. Definitely check out my skits or any other Tuesday tips. And like always, hit that like button, subscribe, follow me on all my social medias, and peace!